going over non-insured crop disaster assistance program today. As the presenters is myself and our farm programs chief, Navdeep Dillon. So what is NAP? NAP is an assistance program for producers of non-insured crops to protect against the financial losses that may occur due to the impact of natural disaster. What does non-insurable mean? The federal government's risk management agency, or RMA, determines the guidelines for crop insurance across the nation. And then local insurance agencies sell insurance policies that fit within those guidelines. If there's not a large-scale production of a crop in a given area, generally there's not commercially available crop insurance in that area for that crop. Producers should contact a crop insurance agent in their local area to help determine whether crop insurance exists for the crop they plan to produce. Many specialty crops like fruits and vegetables fall into this commercially uninsurable category, but it also covers hay and grains in certain counties. NAP, while called Crop Disaster Assistance Program, is similar to insurance, even if it isn't called that. What crops are eligible for NAP? Any crop that is produced for commercial purposes, for sale to others, not for personal consumption, for which there is no commercially available insurance product, and to being any of the following. Is a crop grown for food, fruits and vegetables? Is a crop planted and grown for livestock consumption, such as grain and forage crops, including native forage? Is a crop grown for fiber, such as cotton and flax, except trees? Is a crop grown in a controlled environment, such as mushrooms and floriculture? Is a specialty crop, such as honey and maple sap, and others? What crops are eligible for NAP? So what types of examples are there for NAP eligible fruits and vegetables in California? Berries, apples, lettuce, squash, grazing acreage, strawberries. So what is an eligible cause of loss? Natural disasters such as drought, freeze, hail, excessive moisture, excessive wind, adverse natural occurrences such as flooding, conditions related to damaging weather or adverse natural occurrences such as excessive heat, plant disease, insect infestation. Keep in mind there are standards in the program rules as far as what the definition of a drought is, what the definition of a flood is, what the definition of a freeze is. You may want to visit your local office about some of the common events in your area. For example, drought, freeze, hail, excessive moisture, to gain an understanding of the threshold in place for something to qualify as a natural disaster. Damage must occur during the coverage period, before or during harvest, and must directly affect the eligible crop. How does NAP coverage work? So for example, if you're just going to get NAP insurance on your tomatoes at the basic coverage level, it'll cost you $325. If you also want coverage for your pepper plants, it'll be say $650 total for both. If you also want coverage on your strawberries, it'll be total of $825 for 3 crops. The maximum amount that can be charged as long as these crops are all grown in the same county. How does NAP coverage work? Like insurance coverage, a special note, if you're a beginning farmer, meaning you have not operated a farm for more than 10 years, and you're substantially participating in the operation, you may be eligible for a service fee waiver. Or if you're a woman or a member of certain groups, ethnic groups, veterans, you may also be eligible for a service fee waiver. The point, NAP basic coverage can be free, and you should ask about it. In addition, if you choose buy-up coverage for which there are premiums charged, your premium costs can be reduced due to your classification as a beginning farmer, woman, etc. As noted above, more on buy-up coverage later in the slides. So how does NAP coverage work? A note about coverage and premiums. Basic coverage equals loss over 50% at 55% of the average market price for the crop. Buy-up coverage, you can extend for your coverage from 50% of your crop to 65% of your crop. in 5% increments at 100% of the average market price by paying premium costs in addition to the service fee. Remember, here's what basic coverage looks like. Losses over 50% at 55% of average market price, and you only need to pay a service fee to get this level of coverage, unless you fall into a category where the service fee is waived. You can get buy-up coverage, in other words, coverage for greater than 50% or your crop loss up to the maximum coverage of 65% of your crop, and at 100% of average market price by paying a premium for coverage. I won't go into further detail, but to arrive at the cost of buy-up coverage, we use a formula that looks at your share of crop, number of acres of the crop. Oh, excuse me. Gotta go back. It's not letting me. All right. I don't know if Nav, you wanted to add a note to that, but I was reading the notes and it skipped me.
Yeah, so the premium is determined by the number of acres that you're growing times the price that's established on our crop table. And basically it's a guarantee that we calculate, and then we take a certain percentage of that guarantee to come up with the premium. However, there is a payment limitation, and the premium is also related to the payment limitation and a certain percentage of that. So if you're interested, then we could get into more of the details at the local FSA level to discuss the premium calculation. Okay.
Thanks, Nav. So what do you need to apply? Number one, if you don't already have an FSA farm number, you'll need to establish the basic farm record at your county FSA office. 2, your local staff can assist you with this process, but you should be prepared. And number 3 is deed or release or other documents that identifies risk in crop. So what do you need to do to apply? There are several for NAP eligibility. There are deadlines, important part of this program. You'll need to apply for coverage, and this generally will start ahead of the start of the growing season, but varies by crop. Reporting acres of the crop planted and other relevant details: date planted, variety planted, is it irrigated early in the risk period. After harvest, report quantity of production, disposition of harvested crop. Once you have an FSA established farm, you can complete your NAP application. There are several steps to NAP application process, and these steps follow all the way through the production season. You'll need to maintain good communication with your county FSA office so you know what information they'll need from you and when those deadlines are. This is important for every year you have coverage, even if you don't end up having a disaster and needing the coverage. The goal is to establish a solid production history so that in an event you do need assistance, you have a true picture of your average crop production on those acres. What if I actually have a disaster? Notice of loss. This is an important part of your NAP coverage. If you suffer a loss due to an eligible natural disaster, you must notify the county FSA office in a timely fashion. For some crops, the notification must occur within 15 days of the natural disaster. For other crops, the notification must occur within 72 hours of when the loss became apparent. Again, communication with your county office is key. What if I actually have a disaster? Application for payment must be completed within 60 days of the last day of coverage for the crop year. So basically, best thing to first do is contact your local FSA office to get started. There is a toll-free hotline as well. Also, if you're wanting to locate where your local county offices, you can go to farmers.gov and scroll to find your local service center. Once you're contacting your local office, you can also get SMS alerts to know when deadlines and things are coming up. And also we have a newsletter service with all our counties that you can subscribe to once you contact your local office or here in this link below. If you have any more questions, there's more information on NAP here on this link. Also, we have a NAP fact sheet you can go to that provides all the information on this program. And that finishes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Brooke, while we're looking at the questions, I'll try to locate a copy of our application closing dates for 2022 and then bring that up on the slide. And we will also send it to the host here so they can post it on their website.
There's one question in the Q&A icon. After completing the application, how long does it take to receive the money?
Yes, so I think I'll go ahead and take that one. So first you have to apply for coverage. If you've applied for coverage and you're actually in the NAP program, so this is a program where you're buying the policy prior to you planting the crop. We have application closing dates, and I'm going to try to put those up for 2022. So basically, you buy the coverage. And once you've got the coverage, and if you have a loss, you file an application for payment. We usually try to get that to you no more than 60 days from the time that you file the application. We are required to send out a loss adjuster to evaluate the damage and do an assessment. And once that's done, it doesn't take very long.
And another follow-up question. So basically, this is an insurance product and farmers need to pay monthly, or is this like a one-time payment?
So there's you buy coverage to start with, and then if you buy up, you will pay the administrative fee at the time of the application, and then once you certify your acres and you are able to certify the acres, we have our price established for the year, then you will get a premium bill, which will not usually happens. Depending on what crop you have, you'll get a premium bill in the mail. So it's not a monthly payment. It's a one-time payment, but you can pay it in installments. You can do a payment plan.
Okay. So should the applicant be the owner or the landlord of the land that they own?
Okay. All right, yes. So you have to be someone, either you're an owner or you're the person that's producing the crop. So you have to be at risk for the loss. So you would have to be the person who is actually growing the crop and has put all the funds to grow the crop. So yes, so you could either be the owner, but you don't have to be. If you're leasing the land and you're producing the crop, then you could be the applicant.
And could you repeat where to subscribe for the text campaigns, please?
Sure. I can put that into the chat box of where they can. I do recommend if they're because the SMS alerts are very localized. It's from the county, so I do recommend them contacting their local office as well and making that connection. But I will go ahead and post that into the chat box right now.
Brooke, are you able to see my screen with the application closing dates? There, you want to see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And our following up question for the dates, is there a way that participants here can receive a copy of this file?
Yes, we will send out the application closing dates. Oops. I think some of these dates I need to fix here before we send them out.
Okay.
And so a couple questions, one from Clarissa. So I have to apply for the coverage in January 2022 to be covered for January, or not January, but the year 2023. Is that correct, Clarissa? Or
So you have to have coverage prior to the prior to you planting the crop. So we have determined, the state committee or we've just established certain application closing dates. So yes, you have to apply for coverage prior to the date or on the dates that were that I kind of showed earlier, but we'll send those out to everyone who's on this webinar.
and then are there additional closing dates for 2022?
So the dates depend on what crop you have. So like, for example, for all the annually planted crops, the application closing date for 2022 is March 1st, 2022. But if you plant a crop prior to that, then you need to apply for coverage prior to you planting the crop. So if there's a particular crop that you're interested in, I would recommend that you contact your local FSA office and discuss it with them to make sure you get coverage in a timely manner.
For community lands, where there remain farmers, who should apply for the NAP program?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Yeah. For community lands where there are many farmers, who should apply for the NAP program?
We have special provisions for community gardens, or where you're where it's a certain organization that's set up to buy has a plot of land that's set up for community gardens. I think we'll I would have to do some additional research to provide a correct answer. So we could definitely, if there is a situation, then give us a call and we can discuss that more in detail. And also I think somebody wanted me to clarify that for 2023, the application closing date that I had on display earlier, that's only for citrus crops. So citrus crops, because there are more than 1 year crop on the tree, we have an application closing date, which is like 2 years in advance. So that the date that I had listed was only specifically for citrus at this point.
And then another follow-up question to the previous in regards to the minimum acres. And this is for those crops that wouldn't be insured normally by an insurance company or agent, correct?
Yes.
And next question, someone asked, they are a first-time grower and couldn't find coverage for crops. Would they be able to apply through this program?
Yes, I mean, as long as a crop is not insurable through crop insurance, you can apply for coverage, and you have to be marketing it commercially. Yes, if you meet all the minimum requirements, then yes, you can apply.
And since we briefly talked about the minimum coverage, another question in conjunction with that would be, what's the maximum coverage?
So the maximum coverage is you can cover your production up to 65% of the established yield and 100% of the price. So if you're a new producer, I guess maybe I can get a little bit more of the details. If you're a new producer to growing a crop, we have county yields established. And if you meet the requirements of being a new producer of that crop, then you can get 100% of the county established yield. And then that's what we would calculate the premium and the loss based on. So we do establish a actual production history for each producer and based on the unit. So there's additional requirements. We just went through the basics. So the maximum coverage is 65% of the yield, 100% of the price.
Awesome.
I was just curious with Lupita's question, and just was curious, what is it she's growing?
Lupita states, we grow broccoli. The broker said I have to get at least 5 years as a grower to get coverage.
No, that's not true. You can apply for coverage the first year that you grow it, yes. So go ahead and contact your local FSA office and they can assist you.
Response, thank you so much. I will definitely reach out. Jen, can people apply online for coverage?
At this point, I don't believe that you can, because we do require some additional. You have to establish a farm and a track record, and you have to, provide some additional information to us in terms of your, social security number and address, so we can build a record because this is a crop insurance product. So you do have to contact the local FSA office and get that process going. But you can work with them through email and fax and phone. You don't have to go in, but you do have to work with them at the local level.
Does the FSA require an inspection to the land, and if so, how often?
We do, normally we don't, we do, if you file a notice of loss saying that there was a loss that occurred on your, on a crop that you have NAP coverage for, we do send out a loss adjuster to look at the damage. We may do some growing inspections during the year, but there's not a regularly scheduled inspection unless you're producing a crop like tree crops. If you have insurance on a orchard or a vineyard, we may do a preliminary inspection to determine the acreage eligible for insurance. However, for annually grown crops, we normally do not do pre-inspections, but we can do growing season, and we do definitely do a post disaster.
Last question. So is the coverage available for all the state if they meet the requirements?
So I assume that you're asking, is the NAP program available in, yes, it is. NAP program is available throughout the state. Actually, it's available throughout the United States. So all the states have the similar program. The program itself is the same. However, they may have different application closing dates. For California, yes, this program is available in all the counties.